Hello everyone, before starting this video, I want to thank you all for sending your work. I really appreciate your efforts in spite of the current difficult situation. And thanks also for your comments and your creativity in the examples. Something important before doing anything is checking your battery levels. Sometimes we don't know why we feel the way we feel or why we are not doing our best when we are trying to do something. So the best thing that we can do is to take a moment to think about your battery right now. If you're feeling meh, struggling, or kind of empty, try practicing some self-care and then come back to the video. Once you had a candy or a glass of water, or maybe just rest a bit and maybe you can come back later and with more energy. Before start, it's also important to remind you that you can pause and rewind as many times as you need to, and you can also need something to take notes. The objective for today is to review common mistakes in the worksheets 1 and 2. Common mistake number 1 is about instructions. Many of you don't answer what I'm really asking for, and that is why you make some mistakes. That is really something that you can avoid. For that not to happen, it's really important to follow these 4 steps. The first one is remember to read carefully what is asked in the instructions. If I'm asking to write about your friend, write about your friend. If I'm asking you to talk about a job, babysitting, talk about that job, not other job. Oh, sorry. Then you need to check the meaning of unknown words. If you don't know the meaning of any of the words in the instructions, you can look for them. The number 3 is ask me. Send me a mail with consulta en el asunto and I will try to answer faster. You can send me about anything, about the instructions, about what language do you need to use, what kind of structures. I'm available for you. Then, finally, after you understand fully what you need to do, you can start working. Not before. Our common mistake number 2 is the use of pronouns. In many of your letters, and I wrote it in your feedbacks, you change pronouns without much care. For this, it's important to understand when are we going to use each type of pronoun. The subjective pronouns here is the ones that we use when the person is, who are we talking about, is doing the action. And that is the subject of a sentence, right? Like the first part of our sentence. And it's the ones that we use the most. Then we have the objective pronouns, that is when we're talking about someone who received an action. For example, I bought him a book. In this case, I will be a subjective pronoun because I'm buying the book, and him will be the objective pronoun because he is receiving the book that I bought, right? Then we have the possessive pronouns that talk about possession or belonging, algo que es mío o de ella. To say that kind of things, we talk about possessive pronouns. And here we have many of them. And you always need to remember that, for example, if you want to talk about possessive pronouns and you're thinking about yourself, I, you need to write the same pronoun in the same fila, right? You cannot change. You cannot be talking about he and then referring to something that is his with her, right? That happens in your letters a lot. And finally, we have the reflexive pronouns that end with self or selves. These ones are plural and these ones are singular. And the meaning of this word is mismo. For example, myself, mí misma. Ourself, nosotros mismos, yourself, tú mismo, himself, él mismo, and so on. Herself, themselves, ella misma, or ellos mismos, right? Okay, I'm going to move myself. Yeah. Here we have some samples that include different types of pronouns, and you need to highlight each type of pronoun and try using different colors, okay? We have many pronouns. So for example, you can use blue for the possessive pronouns, or I don't know, the reflexive pronouns can be green, and so on. Okay, remember to pause the video while you do the activity. Once we continue, just press play once you finish the activity because you will see the answers, and that's not the idea. Okay, now here we have the answers. With light blue, I highlighted the subjective pronouns. Oh, sorry. The subjective pronouns. With pink, I highlighted the possessive, and green the reflexive, and the objective with yellow, right? I hope that you did okay, but if you didn't, you can go back to the chart and take more notes if you need to. Yep. So I'm glad to write this recommendation letter from my friend. You can send me any questions. She's smart and optimistic. Her best quality is honesty. He's the best student from our class. His greatest achievement was writing a book about himself last year. Yep, that were our examples. Okay, in this part, we are going to correct the mistakes, right? You usually write things like this. Hi, I will talk about my friend Jean. He's great at sports, and her best qualities are its honesty and how she can solve problems by themselves. You won't regret it. Okay, our step number 2, or like 0, is to read the text. Then we're going to identify who are we talking about. For example, in this case, Jean. We're not talking about myself, we're talking about other person, and this person is Jean, right? Which pronouns can we use to talk about Jean? Can we use all of the pronouns? No, we use some specific pronouns to talk about a male in this case. He, his, him, and himself. Our step number 3 will be to make changes. We're going to check our text and see if all the pronouns correspond to Jean actually, or is talking about a different person. In this case, we have he, her, its, she, themselves, and that's it. And hire me, right? Here I made the necessary changes, and as you see, all of them are just the pronouns that we can use with a male, in this case, Jean. Remember that. Okay, now you're going to practice on your own and correct all the wrong red pronouns, the ones that are in red, and identify who are we talking about. Remember first, who are we talking about? Are we talking about a man or a woman? A woman? And then check which pronouns can we use with that person. And finally, make the necessary changes, right? Once again, pause the video while you do the activity. Once you press play again, you will see the answers. Okay, here we have the same letter, and this is one of your letters. Actually, I just changed the names, and I'm going to read it with the correct pronouns, right? I'm very happy to write this letter of recommendation for my friend Hermione Granger. She is great for this job. Some of her qualities are responsibility in general, as in the study or in daily life. Her ability to solve problems quickly in stressful situations, her professionalism, her ability to stay calm under pressure, but she's also a very nice person. Her punctuality is perfect if you need her at 5 p.m. At 4:59, she will be at the door. If you need any additional information, call me at la 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 la. Yours sincerely, Harry Potter. Okay, obviously I changed the name so none of you feel like identified with the letter. And we changed all of the pronouns. If we go back, this one was in red, but we didn't change it. Why? We didn't change it because we weren't talking about Hermione. You didn't need to call Hermione. You needed to call me, the writer of the letter, right? In this case, Harry Potter. That's why we didn't change the me here or the I here, because that's what you need to check always. Who are we talking about? Are we talking about I, or are we talking about someone else in these cases, right? Okay, now what do I need you to do after watching this video is the first are like 3 simple steps. The first one is to remember to read the instructions carefully. Then ask me if you don't understand something. And finally, check your pronouns. Yes, you can do this kind of revision with the steps that I explained in any piece of writing that you send me, okay? Remember to check your pronouns. And before we finish, I have 3 questions for you to reflect about your learning a little bit. And the first one is, where can you use what we learned today? How can you practice it? And how hard was understanding pronouns? And then we have like the meters to say if it was easy, medium, or if it was extremely hard. If it was extremely hard, you can watch the video again, remember to take notes, and ask me if you don't understand anything, okay? Once again, thank you for watching, and hopefully this was helpful. Bye.